Hello and welcome to today's event, UK EduDay Danesfield Primary School's Remote Learning Journey with Office 365, Q&A with the Department for Education EdTech Demonstrator School. Today's event is being recorded on behalf of the Microsoft Corporation. If you do not consent to being a part of a recorded session, please disconnect your line at this time. The recording will be available at the same location you joined today's event. We hope that you found today's information helpful. We hope that you find today's information helpful. To learn more about the ways you can participate, please click on the Messages button in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, and feel free to let us know if you're ready to get started by typing in a message and selecting Send. We encourage you to interact by using the Messages panel at any time to ask questions regarding content or to request support. We'll do our best to answer all your questions, but due to time constraints, we may not be able to answer all of them during the live event. Please take a few minutes at the end to complete a survey that will appear at the end of the event, and we thank you in advance for your support. And if you experience any technical difficulties, please refresh your browser by pressing Control and F5 or the Refresh Now button on the information panel. If this doesn't resolve the issue, please send in a message and we'll be happy to assist. There's also an online test page. If you wish to self-support, simply click the Help button in the Information tab. And now I'd like to introduce your host, Jennifer King, UK Schools Engagement Lead. Jennifer, you have the floor.
Thank you, Laura. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm very excited to introduce you to Danesfield School. Ben, if you'd like to go to the next slide. Danesfield has just been newly announced as a demonstrator, EdTech demonstrator school by the Department for Education. They are also a Microsoft Showcase school. They have an amazing leader, Sarah Dawkins, leading the way of this digital transformation journey that they've been on for a few years now. And she's really transformed the school. And she's helped and supported by Ben McInnes, the head of ICT, who's also a Microsoft Innovative Educator expert. If you're interested, this webinar is going to be around the primary school, but if you are also interested in hearing from an EdTech demonstrator school looking at a secondary setting, then we will be hosting that with Ribblesdale on Thursday, and you can sign up for that at the link that you see on the screen there. So thank you again for joining. My name is Jennifer King. I am the UK Schools Engagement Lead for Microsoft. And you're welcome to connect with me. I would love to be able to support all the schools that are looking to get that support right now after the DFE funding announcement. And so please do get in touch. My Twitter handle is @JenKing _, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn. So I just want to sort of set the stage a little bit before Sarah and Ben take over and really talk about the perspective from head teacher and from on the ground, and just talk a little bit about what school was like, what we used to do, and what a lot of you still do every day when you go into school to work with children of key workers and vulnerable children. That when you physically went to school, you had modern learning. Students were safe, they were secure, they were able to have a sense of community and connect with people who were vital in their lives. And also schools were able to make that learning accessible and inclusive. But the question is now, what is school like today when we're going to school in the cloud? How do we ensure that we're still giving that outstanding teaching and learning experience? How do we make sure our students are safe and secure when they're not directly with us? How do we create that sense of community and connection and ensure that all students are able to have access to their learning? So we want to think about the needs of the modern learner and what that student really needs. They're going to need all kinds of technology to be able to continue to have that connection with the teachers and with their students in their lives. They want to be able to reach out to the teacher and talk with them. They want to have a visual connection. They want to make sure that there's structure and they feel secure in that structure of what they're supposed to do, that they're getting that feedback, but they're also being taught how to learn themselves, how to really take that ownership of their learning. Thanks, Ben. But is good news is that the use of technology in teaching and learning environments addresses the needs of the modern learner in today's remote learning challenges. And it also addresses the needs of learners going forward as well when this is over. So moving on to a digital learning platform is really setting your students up for success, not just for today, but for tomorrow as well. It provides flexible learning options for unique and diverse learners, being able to really concentrate on that personalized learning for each one of them while we work outside of a rigid timetable. We're able to think about 21st century learning design, ensuring that the learning that we do is collaborative, has lots of communication, and asks students to be creative, not just consume content. Using a digital learning platform like Office 365 prepares students with future-ready skills. In the private sector all over the world, workers are learning how to work remotely. We might as well have our students join in on that same experience so they're ready in the future when they go to work. They'll be able to use these technologies. But paramount is ensuring that everyone is safe and secure, and that teachers and head teachers, SLT, have access to the student data that they need that's safe, but to make sure that students are safe while they're online. And this provides a great platform for effective and efficient school operations to help you ensure that vulnerable students are getting what they need. We all know that school is more than just going to school. Thanks, Ben. So a digital learning platform really helps students have a better instructional experience. Students who receive personalized instruction perform better than 98% of traditionally taught students. And primary schools that have embraced digitally enabled learning report a 30% increase in competency scores. This is an excellent way to help your students improve. And it's also a great way for you guys to be able to bring the whole school into the 21st century and ensuring that students are future ready. Thanks, Ben. And Microsoft is with you every step of the way. From filling out the form to apply for DFE funding, which you can find by clicking on the link here. You fill out that form. Microsoft partners, who are our most trusted partners, will take on that workload of deploying and migrating, making sure that all of the systems that you use today will work within Office 365 and with Teams, and making sure that it's an elegant solution that works for you today, tomorrow, and well into the future. And preparing your staff, Microsoft has the Microsoft Educator Center and many other options like the Microsoft Training Academies, our Inspire Days, connecting you with Microsoft innovative educators who are interested in coaching other teachers around this country on how to use Office 365 and Teams. And then going through that community and connection, having teachers having the ability to connect with other teachers through becoming a Microsoft Innovative Educator or through a school becoming a showcase school, really having a space where teachers can come together to talk, to learn from each other, and to have that sense of community. So Microsoft is here to support you along that journey. And now I'd like to hand it over to Sarah Dawkins, the head teacher at Danesfield Primary, and she's going to talk to you about what it's like from the ground, from the head teacher's seat. So I'm really proud to hand the floor over to you, Sarah.
Thanks, Jen. So as Jen said, I'm the head teacher at Danesfield School, and we also have Ben presenting today, who is a Year 3 teacher here and has been supporting the teaching team with our remote schooling. For our webinar today, it will be relatively short, as we are aware that everyone is very busy at the moment managing the situation in their own settings, and there's a lot of information being shared at the moment with regards to remote teaching. The last thing we want to do is overwhelm anyone taking part in the webinar today. So hopefully we will find some helpful starters to get you thinking about what you want to achieve in the coming weeks and how you can achieve it. We hope that you'll be able to realise the potential of using Microsoft Teams to support your homeschooling and to inspire you to start making changes in your schools to improve remote learning for the pupils. The following webinars after this will then go into more detail about how this works in practice on a day-to-day basis. To give you some context about Danesfield School, we are a primary school. We have just over 400 children. Over the last few years, we have been embedding technology across the curriculum and have seen the benefits that it can have on raising children's engagement and creativity. It's also had significant impact raising standards across all areas of the curriculum, as well as supporting skills such as collaboration, communication, and problem solving. At the start of our journey, we looked at the different options available for us, and we chose Microsoft for the Microsoft Educator Centre. We've now been using the Microsoft Educator Centre for a number of years to gain valuable CPD for our staff. By using this platform for training, it has meant that teachers have been able to develop at their own pace, which was helpful for those who didn't feel as confident with using technology in the classroom, and they could access useful videos to support their development. The staff are able to all work collaboratively, supporting each other through the unfamiliar content. We've been a Microsoft Training Academy now for the last few years, where we've worked with educators to support them to introduce the use of technology at the start of their journey. When we had set our vision as a school to be an inspiring school, we pledged to take our teaching and learning beyond our comfort zone. We wanted to establish a way of working that seeks to constantly improve, and we adopted the Marsha Goldsmith's mantra, "What got you here won't get you there." We now have a short video clip to give you an overview of some of the online learning that has been taking place. So why do we need to set up a remote school? After preempting that lockdown was likely, the first issue that we encountered was that some children did not have devices at home which they were able to use for their remote learning. As a result, we contacted all parents with the offer that if they required one, they were able to loan one from the school during this period, so all children had equal opportunities to take part in the activities set online and could take part in daily calls with their teacher. We've included a link on this slide to the DFE initiative to support with purchasing the devices for disadvantaged children. We've been teaching remotely since the first day of school closure. The longer we have done so, the more we have learned about what makes the process effective and have been able to adapt and improve our practice over time, taking feedback from staff, children and parents. We now have a system in place that enables us to have daily contact with all of our children, which has maintained a strong connection between our staff and pupils, even when they're unable to be in school. Alongside daily calls, where the teachers are able to give instructions on the day's work set, model examples and interact with the children, we've also run friendship calls where the children are in their social groups and get to talk with their teachers as well. We also make one-to-one calls and, where necessary, calls with parents to support them through any challenges that they may come across. Our aim is to demonstrate how remote teaching can be set up and to share the positive impact that can be had if the team work together to ensure that all possible measures are put in place to enable a smooth transition. It's provided the children with structure and routine, and the connection with their class teacher means we can monitor the well-being of each individual. Because as we know, these times may affect the children that may not have previously been on our radar. Our job is to give the children the skills that will enable them to be successful in this environment. Skills such as collaboration and resilience are just some of the areas that we need to develop in the children to ensure that they can be successful home learners during this uncertain time. Growth mindset. The biggest challenge will be linked to staff confidence. This is where you and your team will need a growth mindset. You need to create a culture among your team where you share both your successes as well as your failures. Remote teaching is a challenge for us all, challenging both staff and children to reevaluate how we approach learning. We want to become role models for the children, demonstrating that hard work and resilience and making the children realise that it's okay to make mistakes and highlight to them that in fact this is when we learn the most. This is how we've developed our remote teaching, by all staff being really honest and not being afraid to say that went really badly. It's also really important to share what goes well, because this is how you will see the impact of what you're doing. Think of the Carol Dweck quote, no matter what your ability is, effort is what ignites that ability and turns it into accomplishment. From a leader's perspective, you need to ensure that you manage parental expectations. You need to set out clear boundaries under a revised homeschool agreement. This will help to outline clearly what is acceptable in terms of parent-teacher contact. You need to ensure parents fully understand what messages and requests are acceptable to be asking of the teachers and the hours in which teachers can be contacted. It's also really important that parents understand the calls are for the children, and parents must not interrupt and ask individual questions when the main teaching input is taking place. Our leadership team has sat on various year group calls to ensure parents are aware that this is monitored at all times, and there's communication on the group as well as individual chats. Ensure you allow time on a chat for work-related questions, but once again encourage the questions from the children rather than the parents. Similarly, set the expectation that the chat is used to support learning and is not for general messages between the children. Setting these clear boundaries will empower the staff to not have to respond to every small request. Also, ensure that staff set their availability as a way when the school day is finished. For our whole school timetable, you will need to enable the children, parents and teachers to have a clear structure to their day, and you'll need to plan that whole timetable for the whole school. When doing so, you will need to consider how many siblings children have in other classes to ensure that each year group's calls are scheduled at different times. This way, that it will ensure that families with multiple children who may not have a device for each child are able to take part in the class calls and activities. Within this, ensure that children have sufficient independent time to complete their activities, and also factor in a slot each week where the children have some screen-free time. Make sure that the timetables also feature time for exercise as well as regular breaks and lunch times, just as you would in a normal school environment. And this will maintain a consistent structure and some sense of normality for the children. I'm now handing over to Ben, who will talk you through how we are delivering remote teaching at Danesfield.
Thanks, Sarah. So the first thing is setting up your remote school, and obviously we're aware that different schools are at different stages with their journeys with technology. So we have a partnership with a company called EAC, who are a network company, and they've shared a link on the presentation, which you'll be able to download the presentation at the end of the webinar. There's a link there which they'll be able to take you through all the steps to set up all of your teachers and children with Office 365 accounts. Another important part of setting up your school is ensuring that the children and parents need to know how to log on to their account. So once they've been set up, both children and parents, obviously children of a very young age, will need support in logging in. And the way we've done that at Danesfield is we've created instructional videos with screen recordings, which we've then shared with all parents, emailed them out, and then also uploaded them to our YouTube channel, which is available for everyone to view. The initial focus on existing resources, like Sarah mentioned, we've allowed parents to come in and loan laptops from the school, and some of that was set up before lockdown took place, and then since then some parents have realised actually I need another device because children are sharing one at home and they're trying to get on with all their work, and so we've allowed them to be able to come in and borrow a device from us, which has worked really well so far. So in terms of the actual teaching, delivering teaching online, every day children take part in a whole year group video call with their teacher and their friends. And these calls allow the teachers to keep in touch with their pupils and deliver teaching for the day's work. Now, our Year 6 teachers felt that their children would benefit more from a whole class instead of a whole year group, and so that they're doing that slightly differently to everyone else. The whole year group teaching has worked really well for us, though, and it allows teachers to team teach, and they support each other on the calls, and it creates a bit more of a relaxed environment. Also, having more than one teacher on a call means that there's flexibility. So if one teacher needs to go and work on something else for a morning, then they don't have to be on the call. So it's good good for reducing teacher workload. So at Danesfield, the teachers deliver the entire day's worth of lessons in one session. So we'll do an English lesson, a maths lesson, and then usually a topic or another activity lesson for the afternoon. But we deliver it all in one go. But we allow time between each subject for questioning from the children. We're able to share our screens through Teams, which means that we're able to show resources, and we use tools such as Microsoft Whiteboard, where we can write on our screen, which is brilliant for delivering math lessons. And you can see some of that in the video that's going on the presentation. All of our meetings are recorded by the teachers, and then they're made available for the children to watch again using the Stream application, which is built into Teams platform. And it's usually available within 10 minutes of the call. So if anyone misses the call, or they need to look over some of the work again, miss something out, they are able to look over that again within sort of 10-15 minutes time, which is really good. And using the Stream application means that the videos will stream live in real time within Teams, instead of them having the children and parents having to download large video files onto their devices. So our teachers in reception in Year 1 also use Stream videos, but they use it to pre-record their teaching videos for the children. So they use their whole year group video call to check in with the children and have a bit of a chat. And then they allow them to access the Stream lesson videos in their own time and at their own pace. The teachers and support staff have even created a collection of videos reading their favourite stories for the children, which is really, really nice. If children find any work particularly challenging and would like any further support, then we also allow an intervention group in the afternoons where the children can contact their class teacher through the chat on Teams, and then they'll be invited into a small group call in the afternoon to address any misconceptions and prepare them to continue with the next day's work with confidence. Our teaching assistants are also involved in the children's learning, and whether that be joining the class calls, they do one-to-one calls and listen to children reading, and they're able to give feedback on their work, which we'll talk a bit more about later. During the meetings, teachers can also check an attendees list. So if you've invited your children to the call, you can see who's on that call and who's not, which has been really important for picking out any children that are regularly missing the calls, and then it allows the teacher to contact the parents if necessary. So, managing a call of 60 children. We're a two-form entry school. We've got 60 children in each year group. How are we managing that? When a teacher sets up a meeting, you can set up the options for meeting to set roles for staff and students. These roles are attendees and presenters, and by making the children attendees, not presenters, it takes away their ability to mute each other's microphones and for the ability to remove each other from the meeting. And as the presenters, teachers are able to share content, take control of each other's presentations for team teaching, and they can start and stop the recording of the meeting. So before starting your first meeting, it's really important to address how the children's cameras are positioned. So you want to be able to see them, their faces are in full view, so you can have a proper conversation with them and communicate with them effectively. We ask the children to turn their cameras and microphones off during the teaching part of the lesson. But children are then chosen to unmute their microphones if they want to give answers, if the teacher has any questions during the session. But then the children are able to mute themselves again. The teachers are also able to mute all the students if they wish. So when we join the calls, often the children are on there first and they're having a little chat. But as a presenter, you're able to go on and you can mute every single person within that chat so you can start your call. At the end of the call, however, we allow the children to turn on both their microphones and cameras, and they're able to see each other and say hello, which they really enjoy, obviously, because they're not seeing each other face to face at the moment. So that's really important for us. Also nice for the teachers to be able to see the smiling faces of the students they haven't seen for some time now. To safeguard the staff, Danesfield teachers are encouraged to change or blur their backgrounds using the video during the call, using the background settings feature in Teams. So this means that when they're working remotely, if they're at home, the children are unable to see inside the staff homes. There's lots of useful information on the NSPCC website about teaching remotely safely. So there's a link on there for you to access. And you can see we've actually adapted our backgrounds in the picture there. So we've got our own school logo background on there, which is really nice. So in terms of setting the work and being able to assess work, give feedback, for teachers to set and assess the work remotely, we use assignments section in Teams. The teacher can write instructions for the children and include any resources to be delivered to the pupils of their class team. This can include images, PowerPoints, PDFs, links to websites and Word documents as supporting materials. The assignments has the option to allow children to edit the documents without leaving Teams. So children can edit a Word document that's set in the assignment. They can click submit and they have no need to then save it and re-upload their work. And it saves live as well, so they don't even have to hit save. When they submit their work, children can attach their own photos and videos, presentations. The children have been so creative with the way they've been uploading work to their assignments. And you can see some really good examples in the video that's playing in the background. Staff can then give, so once the work has been submitted, the teacher can then see which children have completed the assignments by going onto the assignments tab themselves. And this will show the teacher who has viewed the assignment, who has completed it, and who has not yet handed it in. Staff can then give the feedback by writing a comment and returning it to the student. But the teacher can also edit and highlight the student's work and then send it back for them to make changes. The children can then make improvements to their work and then resubmit for the teacher to see. In order to reduce teacher workload, our support staff are also asked to go on, and they're able to give feedback to the children on some of their work. So a really effective way of reducing teacher workload and sharing out the marking. The assignments can also be set as Microsoft Forms quizzes, which once they've been created by the teacher, they're automatically marked and returned to the child, and the teacher gets feedback on the child's results. So it's a really great tool. We use it a lot for reading comprehension and end of unit assessments. You're also able to schedule assignments for future release. So you can plan ahead and you can sort out your work for a week or 2 weeks in advance, and you can set a date. So the assignment's sat in the assignments tab schedule, but the children won't be able to see it until the date and time that you have set. Another great tool that we use is Flipgrid. So Flipgrid is also built into the Teams platform, so the children don't have to leave Teams in order to use it. It allows students to record short videos based on a topic set by a teacher. And at Danesfield, we've used Flipgrid to rehearse story writing before putting pen to paper, practice languages, timetables, perform poetry. We've shared physical activities such as workouts and dance. The children have performed historical figures. They've delivered weather forecasts. It's great for hot seating characters during talk for writing units. But the most important thing at the moment that children are using Flipgrid for is to aid well-being by filming video diary entries where the children and teachers can talk about their daily activities and share how they're feeling. The children and teachers can respond to videos on the grid and give feedback and support. It's a great way to evidence the children's work and understanding and knowledge of a subject without the need to actually go in and mark anything. Really, really handy tool. So much you can do with it. And we're constantly learning new things with Flipgrid. So all of this takes a lot of planning. But you can see that within Teams, teachers can work together. Sarah talked a lot about collaboration already. You're able to edit a document live with more than one person editing that document at the same time. So all the members of the team with permission can collaborate on the same document. And it's a really, really great way to enable teachers to plan together whilst working remotely. So you can set up your timetable, and obviously you can ask a teacher, someone's going to do the math, someone's going to do the English, and you can both be in that document and it will save in real time, and you can see it being edited. Really, really great tool. At Danesfield, the teachers have a separate team set up for their year group planning. So it allows them to save all their resources and documents in a team that's not accessible to the students, but it allows them to be able to access the files whenever they're needed, but without being dependent on the school's network or storage. Now this is just in a nutshell what we're doing at Danesfield School in terms of teaching and planning. And like Sarah said, the future webinars will go into more detail about how to make all these things happen. But I'm going to hand you back to Sarah. And she's just going to finish off before we take some questions.
Thanks, Ben. So some people may feel reluctant to make drastic changes to how they're homeschooling, having the view that if lockdown is relaxed, it will all have been a waste of time and won't be used again. I think the reality that we have to face is that how schools and other industries will function post-lockdown is likely to change, especially as it's likely that schools reopening will be a staggered approach. So I believe you will see long-term benefits by learning from our experience of remote teaching, and we will be able to continue to enhance the teaching and learning in the future. We are constantly amazed by the children's use of creativity when they're using technology. In our webinars to come, as Ben has just said, we will talk more about how teachers can use the digital tools to create hooks and how creativity can be enhanced to engage the children through the use of technology. We've also included links to our social media accounts where you'll be able to see some of our teaching and learning in action. Are there any questions?
There's very few questions that haven't been answered already, but one question that's come up from Evelyn: how do staff who have their own children at home juggle the calls? How do they get that work-life balance?
So we have set it so a lot of the year groups will deliver their calls within their team, so with their teaching partner. We also have some teachers that are obviously coming to school at the minute, so we just timetable it around their availability. I have two daughters at home too, so it's just the calls only actually tend to last for about 20 minutes. So I think if you can manage to kind of give, I don't know, the children an activity for that amount of time, the teachers don't have to take part in daily calls. If they want to, they can share them amongst their year group partner.
That's great to hear, and it's about that balance and teamwork that becomes really, really important, I think.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Other questions have come up. One question came up about very specific about how to do a participants list for the meetings in the morning to check attendances. What's the actual process for that for you guys?
Ben, do you want to do?
So it depends how you've set up a meeting. So at the moment, if you've added all the children's names to the meeting, then during the call there is a menu down the bottom of your screen, and it will say show participants, and it will literally just show a list of everyone who's in your call. It will show the presenters' names at the top, and it will show the attendees underneath them, and then right down the bottom it will show the people that have been invited but are not on the call at the time. So you can check that, and I don't think it's available at the moment, but I think it is being brought in by Microsoft that you will be able to receive at the end, when you end a meeting, you'll be able to receive a list of the attendees after the meeting has finished as well.
Yes, I think that is one of the things coming along, but it's not quite there yet. You're quite right. Yeah. One other question: do you send individual pupils their own email and password, even the very young ones?
All of our children have, sorry Ben, all of our children have their own Office 365 accounts and their passwords, so they were used to logging in before this. So yes, they all have their own Office 365 account.
And they were quite comfortable and easily accessible because they were using it previously?
Yes and no. It hasn't taken very much to set up. I mean, our 4-year-olds are kind of joining their daily calls, obviously with support from parents, but yeah, they are all able to access it.
Andrew Fleurdew is asking, are details about assignments shared in the Microsoft Graph, and can this be accessed for staff? I think it's a very technical question, but if you guys don't feel into it, I can dip a little bit into that if you would like me to. Yes, please. I thought that would be the case. The Microsoft Graph doesn't take the assignments. They're stored in storage. They can be accessed for the staff who have access to that team at the moment. If you would like it more, I would recommend going to Teams User Voice and putting in your suggestions. The engineers really, really listen to that. They're really important that you hear what the users would really like. So vote for that in. Hope that's useful, Andrew. Class notebook. It's a question from Catherine Ablott. Do you use the class notebook? Do you have any best practice advice on this? And she's trying to teach teachers and pupils about its use all at the same time. You've got any good approaches for that?
We've not really delved into class notebook very much here. I think we've not felt a need for it from what we've been doing at Danesfield so far. I do recognise the benefits of it. I've been talking to my teaching partner actually about an interesting thing you can do with setting up an escape room within OneNote and Notebook, which is quite a cool idea. But it's not something we use regularly at Danesfield at the moment.
See, we're all just learning. We're all learning from each other, Catherine. So I think we're all looking for the best practice for lots of different things. And if you've got suggestions, I would suggest you share that with us through Twitter, for example, with the hashtag Microsoft EDU. That'd be really, really useful. We've not really got any more questions around this, guys. One question I have, what sort of feedback have you had from parents so far?
The feedback has been really, really positive, especially for working parents who've said it's been really great that the children can they've got that structure to their day, they get on with their work, they know the expectations of them. It's also having the relationship still with the teacher, that it's not the parents having to ask the children every day to complete worksheets or kind of things like that. It's actually coming from the teacher. So I know as a parent as well myself, we're removing that battle for the parents. So it's been really, really positive. And as well from the children, it is great to still keep that connection with them and to be able to see them every day.
I think as well, being able to showcase the children's work as well has been so brilliant. Like I say, with like Flipgrid, or to creating folders within the Teams platform for the children to upload pictures of their artwork and things like that. And I think sharing their work with each other and showing each other how proud they are of it has been a really important thing. And the parents have really, really liked that. And even giving feedback on assignments, with us sharing the workload, and not even just giving feedback on our own classes, children, but sharing that workload and in our year group, we're going on and marking every single piece of work that comes in with our support staff, and just that acknowledgement that we are actually looking at the work that they're doing, I think is really important for the children. So they're enjoying that. It gives them a purpose to actually to complete the work every day, and the parents have given us really good feedback on that.
That's great to hear. That really is, and I'm not really surprised. We've not any more questions right now have come up. Is there anything else that people would like to ask or say?
Ian, may I just jump in a little bit to talk about the class notebook for
Fantastic.
Catherine? Yeah. I just wanted to let you know some of the best practice out there of teaching while doing is that because the OneNote class notebook is so intuitive, my suggestion is to just start uploading content into it. So having students documenting their the work that they are doing at home, taking pictures. I mean, even students as young as reception are able to take a picture within OneNote and insert it, and then record a little bit of what they're about that picture using the audio button, and then the teacher able to reply to that either with a video message or with an audio message, and just sort of having that conversation, as well as being able to use stickers and being able to ink on the student's work for marking, and just being able to visually see that the student and that the teacher is interacting with the student's work is so engaging for the student. How to set up your notebook is probably something to have a chat if you're on Teams, get your staff together to have that conversation about what they want the structure of the notebook to look like. As you're starting off, you may just want to go day by day, week by week, putting up the timetable or putting up the topics of that week, and then having the students referencing it for understanding what they need to be doing, and then using it for feedback. So that's just some quick best practice tips.
That's great, Jen. Thank you very, very much. So I'm going to share out some examples of class notebooks in primary schools that could be successful. We'll look those out and share them out on Twitter later. I think maybe a good thing to do. You can let me know how quickly to allocate emails to pupils unless this has been covered already. That's from Elizabeth Bounds. So how did your process was in school, so you could get that out there? I'm wondering if it would be a good way of getting that out there for schools who are in lockdown. Is there an easy way?
That's where we use EAC to support us with kind of setting up every child with their emails, and I can't imagine it would take very long.
And that EAC was your Microsoft partner who helped you get things set up, is that correct? Yeah. So your IT helped you do that, got it out there, got the email addresses all set up for you, and then it became just an administration process after that?
Yeah, definitely. And we've got children joining us, different points of the year, and we are, as they're kind of going through, they're still joining their class as they would do normally, and we're setting them all up as they come. So yeah, it won't take very much.
And just to add on that is the purpose of the DFE funding, is that you're able to sign up for a partner to come. The DFE will fund that partner to come and provision all of your student accounts. They will migrate your Exchange server. They will ensure that all of the systems that you're using and the other applications you're using are integrated and migrated into Office 365. So you have a really elegant solution. You don't have to worry about that. We take the workload off of you. And so do sign up for the DFE funding so you can have that all set up by a partner and you don't have to worry about it.
Elizabeth has come back. Have you given out laptops to pupils without tech? I'm not quite sure what that means. Have you had support for this access issues? So I think that's really about, so you've given pupils out, you talked about that earlier in the webinar, that you've shared devices with pupils. What about pupils who don't have access at home? Have you come across anything like that?
So anybody that didn't have access, we've loaned them devices from school, and obviously now with the DFE initiative, you can do it that way as well. So we've ensured that everybody has access to a device. And
connectivity as well.
Yeah.
It's a really powerful way to access things, and I think DFE funding is quite remarkable in this, in the way of getting it all set up.
Definitely.
Okay, I think that's all the questions we've got so far. Any finishing points anybody would like to make?
I think just from us, I think it's just if you're looking at setting this up as a school, just kind of manage it in small steps. Keep your team. We have like weekly team calls to keep everybody kind of sharing ideas. And like I said before about the growth mindset, accept some things will work and accept some things won't, and just kind of continually learn and embrace it. And it is awesome kind of when it is all up and running.
Yeah, we're all constantly learning as well. As it's gone on, there's new things that are happening and things that people don't know how to do, and people that do know how to do things. So we're constantly making like training videos for each other within school and sharing them on our remote learning team. So we've got lots of things that we could share with schools as well, just with the basics and how to set different things up, just through screen recordings. So everyone's learning all the time. So like Sarah said, it's just doing it bit by bit.
Absolutely. And it is, we're all learning from each other and building best examples collaboratively. I think it's really good to see. Jen, there's a question here from Elizabeth. Is that only secondary schools that get DFE funding? Jen's not there.
Yes, I'm here. Yes. I'm sorry. Had to navigate to my mute button. Yes, it is absolutely for primary schools as well. So there is the devices funding that the DFE has put in, and that's going to students primarily in secondary schools. Although students in primary schools who have a social worker assigned are also eligible for the devices, but for the digital learning platform that is every school in the UK, in England, is eligible for this. And if you already have Office 365 set up, but you don't use it for your students, you're also eligible. So making sure that your students have access, and I will put the link to that form into the question box in just a second, so do sign up. And if you also have issues where you have deployed for students and you have deployed for staff, but you just aren't using it yet, or you need some help with school data sync or Intune or something a bit more sophisticated, we have made our fast track service available for every school in the UK as well. So, or if you're joining this webinar from Scotland or Wales, you can access this service through fast track. And I will also put that link into the chat window. I just would like to also say to Danesfield or on behalf of Danesfield, that as a DFE demonstrator school and as a Microsoft Training Academy, they are here to help you, and we're so happy to have such an excellent school who is able to provide the support for other schools.
Thanks, Jen.
There's no other questions coming in just now. If there's, Andrew's just put one in the chat. We also use a tool called ClassLink to provide SSO for remote resources, so there are no hassles about usernames and passwords. So it's a piece of technical advice around ClassLink. It's a very good tool. Any other questions before we finish off? I'm not seeing any more coming in the meetings. Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, I will pass back over to Laura for her to finish up the webinar. Thank you again for joining, and good luck and stay safe.